With the failure to repeal health care and a summer break nearly behind them, the U.S. government needs to get back to work on the Trump agenda this fall. And if the Republican Party has eyes on strengthening their control over the House and Senate come 2018, there is no bigger issue for their fortunes than tax reform. President Trump outlined his plan for tax reform in April with some specifics. And in Springfield, Missouri, the start of the iconic Route 66, President Trump reiterated his plan to shape the tax code for the American worker. For Main Street,
I want to work with Congress, Republicans and Democrats alike, on a plan that is pro-growth, pro-jobs, pro-worker, and pro-American. We need a tax code that is simple, fair, and easy to understand. That means getting rid of the loopholes and complexity that primarily benefit the wealthiest Americans and special interests. Our last major tax rewrite was 31 years ago.
Now that is the exact same message Trump delivered during the campaign. Tax cuts for workers, not the wealthy. But you can bet the Democrats and the dishonest media will claim that Trump's tax plan and the Republican tax plan are simply cuts for the wealthy and for the 1%. But the fact is, Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, they are the party of the ultra-wealthy, of millionaires and of billionaires, and of Wall Street hedge funds. Because if you recall, during the election, it was Clinton who received the vast majority of hedge fund political donations, not Donald Trump. The Republican Party can not only use true tax reform as a big win for the party and their agenda, but they can also gain support from Democrats to prove to the American people that in this time of hyperpolarization and ultra-partisanship, this government can work together. That is, if Congress, the same Congress that let Trump and the American people down with their failure to repeal and replace Obamacare, will let these tax reforms go through. President Trump didn't hold back in letting Congress know it's in their hands.
And I am fully committed to working with Congress to get this job done. And I don't want to be disappointed by Congress. Do you understand me? Do you understand? Understand.
Trump also had a pointed message for the people of Missouri in regards to one of their obstructionist Democratic senators.
And your senator, Claire McCaskill, she must do this for you, and if she doesn't do it for you, you have to vote her out of office.
That is vintage Trump. It's way too soon to say whether or not Senate Democrats up for re-election in red states like McCaskill will work with Republicans on this file. I think they will. It behooves them to. But it's never too early to put the heat on, as only the president can. Trump has always had this vision of bringing American manufacturing back. It's a vision that's been ridiculed at length as being impossible. Even the anti-globalization left, who actually agree with Trump on issues like TPP, never pushed for the reopening of consumer goods factories and plants the way Trump envisions it. And maybe I too was guilty of that groupthink. But Trump is absolutely committed to this goal. And maybe it's to a fault that he wants to restart an era of Made in the USA. But if this goal is going to materialize, it's only going to happen with true tax reform. Not just tax cuts like Bush put through, but real lasting tax reform, Reagan style. That's what this president and his Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin want. And believe me, there isn't a hard-working American who doesn't want this either. Look, with all due respect to someone I believe is a voice of the Trump base, Ann Coulter, and her complete meltdown on Twitter yesterday, intentionally dramatic or not as Coulter can be, her insistence that the Trump base and Republicans want the wall being built instead of tax cuts is just wrong. Look, everybody cares about the economy and how much they fork over to Uncle Sam. And if in this era of $20 trillion of government debt, questions about a debt ceiling, and now countless trillions more in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey and the cleanup, and well, if the wall is going to be paid for, at least initially by the U.S., waiting for Mexico to pay it back after, and the economy booming to a point where there is no restriction on the resources that can be devoted to securing the border and the country, well, true tax reform needs to happen to get that GDP growth to where it needs to be. And don't bet against the president or some creative members of Congress who are pro-wall to try to tie the repatriation of overseas corporate tax dollars that will be coming back with this new plan to being a way to pay for the wall, at least in part. Look, there was a lot of criticism that that speech was short on specifics, but I do believe Trump decided to do so because of all of this happening in the direct aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. And I suspect that it means the timeline for this tax reform might be delayed a bit, but that's fine. Rebuilding Texas comes first. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Whether it's media institutions or bigger powers like Google and YouTube, they want to shut us up here at The Rebel. That's why we need you to show your support for us. Go to istandwiththerebel.com. Put your name down for us, will ya?